Hey guys, happy Sunday. It's 2 p.m. and I wasn't going to do a show today, and then I decided to do one. That is the luxury of having your own show. So there's no snazzy intro. There is no guest today. I have a solid black background, which is absolutely intentional. This isn't going out on LinkedIn. It's not going out on YouTube. It's just a Facebook, and it's probably appropriately so Facebook because there are friends involved and a much smaller network. And I want to interact with you guys throughout. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to have my phone in front of me. This is not going to be slick, and again, it's not intended to be, but at least this way I can see who's on, and I can welcome you guys just like I did right at the beginning. So like I can say hi to Seth Sparks and Bob Farnham and Amber as well. And I spoke about this show today being political in a sense, but it's not meant to be. It's just meant to be, I think, addressing the issues and speaking up. There are a few things that are important as well. Oh, by the way, I'm using, so if you've been watching, that I got a new MacBook Pro. I felt like I needed a new one, just by virtue of doing all this video and running into storage issues. So today, I'm actually using the FaceTime camera, and I'm using the microphone, all of it built in. One of the reasons I'm doing this is because I want to kind of get a sense to see like what would the, not the unplugged version, but what would the kind of raw version look like if I was on the road, if I didn't have an external microphone, if I didn't have external lighting, whatever the case may be. So that's why I'm doing it this way. As well. And so you guys can comment on what you think about the quality of the video, the quality of the audio, etc. A few things. One is, if you want to be on the show today, my intent is to go for about an hour, maybe less, not more. But here's how you can actually come onto the show. Don't do it now because I'm not ready for you yet. But all you have to do is go to bit.ly/unCoronaTV, because that's what today is. It's an unshow, not a show, an unshow. unCoronaTV. You will come on into the green room. I will see you, and then send me a private chat. There's a little button that says private chat, and that way you can actually tell me what you want to talk about. If you have a question or comment, if I know you, you'll probably come on the show. If I don't, I might not, because I don't know that there's a way to control that in the message, and I don't want some random person coming on and spewing some stuff. But I don't mind if you disagree with me. In fact, I prefer someone to come on and debate, have a healthy, respectful, constructive debate, as opposed to just shouting or screaming or anger and hatred. That's not what I'm going for anymore. So wanted to kind of just let you know, and I will come back to that later. So yesterday, I happened to catch Scott McCain's show, and he showed this image. And Scott McCain was a guest of mine, I think, not the Friday just past, but the one before. And I just happened to catch his show. And so you guys, I assume you know who that is, right? By the way, hello. Ted Rubin, another previous guest, and Steve Garfield and Jeff Wellman. See, I can actually say hello to you guys today because it's a little bit more informal. So comment and let me know if you know what sculpture this is, who was the sculptor and what it's called. So I'm going to wait because, as I said, I've got time today. So let me know. I'm watching. Come on. You can actually comment and say, I don't know, if you want to. But there are two parts to this question. Let me know. No comments yet. So do I have to tell you? It is called The Thinker, and it was and the sculptor was Rodin. And what I want you to think about during this time is, yes, Bob, thank you for The Thinker. But what I want you to think about, I'm going to come back at the end of the show, is what is so unusual about this the sculpture? Sorry, the sculpture. What is so unusual about it? I want you to think about that because it is called The Thinker, and don't comment just yet. In fact, you can if you want. What is unusual? Do you know what's unusual? There are many things that are interesting and unusual about this. So I'm going to come back to that in a moment, and it'd be interesting to see what you think. So, Bob, keep guessing. Bob actually said, interesting. He just said, along with a few hundred friends yesterday, I laid on my stomach with my hands behind my back for 9 minutes. It was an intense experience, especially when I thought about the fact that George Floyd was dead by the end of the 9 minutes. It was very emotional. Well, funny you mentioned that, Bob, because this is how I wanted to start the show today. What I've done, hello, Marnie Gordon, and also Sharon Chimes. By the way, if you, from what I'm about to do, please share this. Please share this with people on your Facebook feed, and they can be part of it if they want to. But here's what I'm going to do. Pursuant and connected to what Bob was saying, I have set my timer for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. And you know, in the world of video, Steve Garfield will tell you, he's watching, a minute of video online can seem like an hour if it isn't done well. And our attention spans are so short, and would get so distracted. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the timer now for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. And I'm going to do nothing for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. And I'm just going to stare at the screen. I'm going to stare at you, and you're going to stare at me. And let's see if we can do it. Let's see if we can actually sit through 8 minutes and 46 seconds where we are safe in our environments, where we're not under duress, where we're not under stress. This may seem stressful and uncomfortable, but it's the least of our worries, I suppose. So I'm going to start it. And for the next 8 minutes and 46 seconds, there's going to be just nothing. Starting it now. That was 8 minutes and 46 seconds. I don't think I've ever remained that quiet in my life without talking or talking to myself or singing or humming. I felt uncomfortable. At one point, I actually wanted to check. I didn't look at the time once. I didn't look at the timer. At one point, I thought maybe I didn't set the timer properly or I stopped it because it just seemed like it was going on and on. That was 8 minutes and 46 seconds. How did it make you feel? Did it make you feel? I thought it would be my voice, one way to exercise that voice. And that really is, I guess, the common theme here today. If there is it's funny, Ron Tite wrote a book called Think, Do, Say. And I think so much of this whole episode is about thinking and then doing, which is action, and then talking. But there's actually a different prioritization. I haven't read his book, but he's a smart guy. And if this is what the book is about, then great. And even if it isn't, that's how I've interpreted it. And that's fine too. At some point, action has to take over from words. And today, what I wanted to do is talk to you about what's going on, and go on the record, because I feel by not going on the record, am I complicit or am I being a coward? That's the point here. The point here is, sometimes you're damned if you do and damned if you don't. Do you talk? Do you talk up? Do you, when someone is bullying? We listen to a guy on Friday from the ADL, from the Anti-Defamation League. Everything about being complicit when a bully is beating up on someone. You're complicit if you stand on the sidelines and do nothing. So what do we do? What is our role? What is our responsibility? Something to think about for a moment. This came out in the Wall Street Journal today that Americans, let me, I don't know if you prefer that look or that look. Let's go with that for now. But it says Americans are more troubled by police actions in killing of George Floyd than by violence at protests, poll finds. But 80% of the country now, 80% feel that the country is spiraling out of control. Okay, so now I will show this to you, because here was the comparison. This is a Wall Street Journal poll looking at, who do you think would be better on the issues, Trump or Biden? Now, Trump still gets the nod with respect to economy, right? The economy, unemployment, getting people back to work. The argument can still be made that the economy, whether he takes credit for or not, whether it is justified or not, but ultimately an entrepreneur, a businessman with economic chops, one might argue that the economy, if the stock market wasn't where it was, we wouldn't have had that buffer. And indeed, when you look at the market, it looks like it's coming back. But then when you think about representing change, that's an interesting one, right? Because you would think that would be completely different, but Biden is not. Biden is old guard, and depending on who he chooses as his vice president, I think you would see that comparison changing quite radically. But when it comes to even competence and effectiveness, you would still think that would be wider, because there are concerns about Biden. But when you get into coronavirus, there's a little bit more of a margin. And the biggest margin is have the ability to bring the country together. That is what's needed and necessary right now. And I would argue right now that it is more important than ever before to figure out how to heal this country and bridge the divide. And so that's why, I was looking at everything that's coming out, from General Mattis condemning Trump to the person who replaced him, or maybe he replaced the person who replaced him, because there's been so much change. Mark Esper breaking with Trump on invoking the Insurrection Act. to a number of generals coming out against the use of force and the military against civilians who have since been called terrorists. And I just wanted to go on record today, and I just felt like I needed to say that I am going on record and making a prediction that Donald Trump will be defeated in November, and it won't even be close. And boy, oh boy, do I want to be right. And it's interesting, every time I've told people about this, you know what they say? They say, gee, I hope you're right. Now, by the way, I'm trying not to be overly political on today's show or unshow. In fact, what I'm trying to do is represent a point of view, and maybe represent it from not a journalist perspective, because I'm not a journalist, but from someone who has a podium and a platform and a voice and an outlet. You know how I feel. You know that I'm not a fan of Donald Trump's, but that's not the point. The point I'm trying to make here is this prediction is based on, you can see that, Charlene Lee and Josh Bernoff would have called it the groundswell. You can feel it at the moment. I just showed you whether it was Mattis, General Mattis or Kelly that came out similarly against Trump, or the mayor of DC defying to a degree Trump and renaming, I think it's Lafayette Park or Plaza, Black Lives Matter Plaza, or and painting Black Lives Matter on the street that goes from the church to the White House. You can see it and you can feel it right now. And you can see it and you can feel that, when you look at the cartoons, when you look at the caricatures, because there's so much truth grounded sometimes in humor or in satire, from the stunt with the Bible in front of the church to, I thought, this very scary thought of whether you thought of him as a clown. He's now not a sad clown, he's a mad clown. He's more like the Joker. And then this one, that's of Trump hiding underneath the bunker. And this was done before the wall or the fence was basically painted, not painted, but built up around. So I think it's done. I think this country's had enough. We've seen a number of Republicans now breaking as well and saying they will not support former President George W. Bush. There are a whole bunch of other prominent Republicans that have said they will not support Donald Trump. And I think we as a country have to be able to recognize what's happening here. This does not mean, Bob says, I hope you're right. Don't hope I'm right. I hope I'm right. But look, of course, it's not going to happen if we don't go out and vote. But I don't think this is about Republican or Democrat anymore. And this is what the next segue of the show is about. I think this is really about right and wrong. We are dealing with the politicization of everything right now. And that is a problem. Whether it's black and white, quite literally or figuratively, whatever one side says, the other side says the opposite. And that is harmful, and it is detrimental, and it is absolutely killing our country. That no matter what, sometimes I almost wish that we could reverse positions and then see what happens, or almost like as a prank, be able to come up with the exact opposite position and then just see the one side defend it and the other side attack it. We hear phrases now like weaponization of words, of intent, of thoughts, of positions, of ideals. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous how everything has been politicized. And we cannot heal and we cannot come together if we don't stop saying the left versus the right. Now, I want to show you something as well, something that I saw, and I'm going to talk about Candace Owens in a moment too. But I saw this Facebook post that says, left have made George Floyd into a martyr, but who was he really? And then it goes into what I suspect is his rap sheet or all the infringements that he was cited for. Now, I don't know how much of this is true or not true, or a distortion of the truth. Maybe the list is longer, maybe the list is shorter. But at the bottom it says, when he was killed, he was high on meth, getting ready to drive a car and possibly kill your kid. Let me just take off this at the bottom. I mean, it's sick, and this whole thought about, the thing that got my attention when I saw this was that, to me, there was a tell, and that tell was the word left. Left have made, what is left? What is the left? Why are we constantly saying the left? Who is the left? I'm not the left. I'm a citizen. I'm a patriot. I'm an American, and I'm a South African, but I'm American. Why have we bucketed every opinion that we don't agree with into left or right? To me, when I saw this, what do you call it, a meme in this case that said left have made, that told me that this had been weaponized, that this had been politicized. This wasn't one person's opinion. This is organized. This is the kind of this is the racial virus, the pandemic that is eating away and eating us from the inside out. George Floyd might not have been a saint, but to start actually trying to discredit him or make or distort the issue, to me, is wrong, and it's harmful, and it's destructive. He lost his life. He lost his life, whether he was a good man or a bad man, whether he was honest or whether he was dishonest. He did not deserve to lose his life. And maybe he is the straw that broke the camel's back. And it wasn't the person who came before him or the person, who came after him. But we miss the point completely if we try and discredit based on his deeds or his acts. And whether we compare him to Martin Luther King Jr., or whether we compare him to Malcolm X, or we compare him to a criminal, it's a false comparison, and it's a dangerous one. So this is what actually happened on Facebook today. And I'm just going to read you my response. The key tell to this outrageous post that you shared, this person that you shared way too easily, is the word left. This is not about left versus right or black versus white. It's about right versus wrong. And with context, when we look back, will you find yourself on the right or wrong side of history? As a South African, there is only one position to take, and this is not it. Personally, I would delete this post in the comments. Now, someone reached out to me and actually criticized me for shaming this person or for my comment. And I agonized whether I should even have posted this in the first place. I know this person. I like this person. I care for this person. The person that shared this post, not the person that initially posted it. And this is the struggle, right? The struggle is, should I have just stayed silent? Earlier in the week, I spoke to you about how someone posted, I did not kill George Floyd. And I, again, agonized, do I respond? Don't I respond? I just unfriended them. This person I would never unfriend because they are a friend, a real friend, and I like them and way too much. I would not just unfriend them. I would engage in a dialogue with them. But then the question is, how do you engage in that dialogue? Do you do it publicly? Well, if someone posted this publicly, should that conversation continue publicly? Maybe. Instead, I deleted the post and I posted it to them privately, and we've had a dialogue since. We can have a dialogue respectfully. I believe we can. I believe we have to. I'm so torn with respect to the role that Facebook is playing in our lives and how much damage it has caused and will continue to cause. I'll come back to the role of the social networks towards the end of this unbroadcast. But I think there's a huge danger right now. There's a huge danger. Everybody has an opinion. In a way, you're hearing my opinion right now? Who am I to have an opinion? What right do I have to have an opinion? Well, I have every right. Can I impose that opinion on you? Can I impose my thoughts on you? No, I can't. But hopefully you'll listen to me, and hopefully all of this will get us to think. So let's go back to the thinker. I asked you guys what you thought and was unusual about this image. And Bob, yes, he is naked, but that's not the thing. What's unusual about this, thanks to Scott McCain for showing me the way, his right elbow is on his left knee. Now I want you to try that right now. I want you to try and sit in that pose. Let me do it with you. Move my chair back a bit. Well, you're not going to be able to see me, I guess. I'm going to take my right elbow and put on my left knee. I'm doing it right now. Does that feel comfortable? No, it doesn't. It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to sit in that pose because thinking should be uncomfortable. It should make you uncomfortable when you have to think. Think hard, introspect, think long and deep, really understand, going back to that whole idea that I showed you, earlier. Think, then act, and then talk. We're very, very good at spewing, at being able to tell us what we think. I mean, the whole cable news networks is doing that, right? They just think. They say what they think. They go, I think, but they're not really thinking. Look how often, watch whether it's Fox News or CNN, when they bring on all their pundits, how often they use the word think. I think. It's all about what they think. It's their opinion. It's not fact. It's not based on fact. It's not based on consensus. It's just a gut. It's gut thought. But are they really thinking? Have they really thought it through? It's something to think about, and think before you talk, and think before you say. Let me go back to Facebook for a moment. And I'll just put it back here and see anyone who's watching so I can say hello, like to Sharon Chimes. I don't know how many of you made it through 8 minutes and 46 seconds, by the way, if you're watching. Let me know. Did you check your email? Did you go make yourself a sandwich? Could you sit through 8 minutes and 46 seconds of just staring at me, staring at the screen? I'm curious as to how that played out with you. So let's go to Bob said he made it through uncomfortably, and that obviously was the intent. So I said I would talk about Candace Owens. I saw the name cross my path multiple times this week. Let me show it full screen for a second. I just want to basically tell you something, which is, maybe this is my ignorance. I didn't even know who this person was, who Candace Owens was, before a week ago. Now I know that she is a Black conservative, I guess, pundit, author, personality, consultant. And she came out with a video that does exactly what that Facebook post talks about. Distancing herself from George Floyd, who was a bad man, who was a criminal, who might be a martyr, but he's not my martyr. That was her argument. And again, I'm not going to attack her if she is not able to defend herself face to face. She's welcome to come on my show if she wants to, but that's not the point. There are many points about it that I could dedicate an entire show about. And this is the problem. When a Black voice comes out with a different perspective, either they are vilified for it or they become the de facto authority And I don't know that either of which are necessarily true. Clearly, I disagree with her. Clearly. I think she misses the point. I think everyone misses the point when they go, by the way, just for the record, what, that policeman did with the knee and the neck, that was bad. That was wrong. And they should be prosecuted for it. But there's no but. There's no but. The life of a man was snuffed out, unnecessarily so. Period. There's no but. And for everyone to have their moment, I spoke to someone earlier that said, have you checked out that video? It's been seen millions of times. Well, does that make it legitimate? But let's go back, and actually Seth said, sat here the whole 8 minutes and 46 seconds, closed my eyes a bit. Amazing how things can run through your mind during that time. Can you imagine what ran through George Floyd's mind? You don't actually have to imagine, because he called out for his mother. We should not conflate issues. We should not compound them. We should not distract. We should be very, very clear about the value of a human life. Period. And what's so interesting about this, by the way, is that in this interview between Glenn Beck and Candace Owens, of course, who retweeted it? Donald Trump. So there is a lot of, I would say two thoughts that actually run contradictory to one another. The first one is that we retweet and comment and forward and share way too easily without thinking. So there is the mindless thought, right? The thinker, the mindless thought. We just see something and we forward it without thinking it through, without doing the due diligence, without doing the research, without being able to say, are these facts in fact true? Now, Candace Owens in a video was going on about all the statistics and the stats and the facts, and I just don't believe they're true, but maybe they are, but I'm not sure that they are, because if they were about actually how statistics amongst whites are worse than blacks or whatever the case may be, why are more people not sharing those statistics? Now, she would probably say, because the left don't want you to know. I mean, come on. We're not living in a conspiracy world here. We should have access to the facts. We have Google, for God's sake. How hard can it be to actually be able to determine what those facts are in statistics? And the thing is that we can always manipulate statistics. Remember that, guys. We can always manipulate statistics. We can say there was a 1,500% increase, but we might just be talking about, I'm bad at math. Let's just say 1,000% increase, because it might have gone from, 2 to 20. Is that right? 2 to 20. The base might be so small that the percentage increases are huge. We need to wisen up and stop being so naive. Now, on the flip side, I believe that Donald Trump knows exactly what he is doing when he is tweeting. Just like he knew exactly what he was doing when he said, when the looting starts, the shooting starts. Too much of a coincidence that he didn't really know where that statement came from and didn't know the connection back to a mayor of Miami who had a history of violence against black citizens and I guess marches, or, too much of a coincidence. Why do we let him get away with that? We shouldn't let him get away with that. And that's really kind of what we're going to be segueing towards. This is why I wanted to do a show and talk about our voice. What is your voice? What role do you have to play? What role do I have to play? Do I have a role to play? Or can I just do a show about marketing and not address the issue and skirt it and not get into an uncomfortable position where someone's going to agree or disagree with me? I've gone through this whole period where I've maxed out on Facebook friends. And the only way that I can really get a sense as to whether I'm resonating or not is when I go back and check if people have unfriended me. This morning, I went from 5,000 to 4,996. It's a great day for me. It's a great day when 4 people don't want to be my friends anymore out of 5,000. Because at least I'm doing something. Whether it's something right or not, I don't know. When I'm doing something right, I can't get extra friends. So like nobody tells me when I'm doing something right, only I guess when they really disagree with me, so much so that they choose to unfriend me. You know, I would think if I was doing something really right, they would stay friends with me and you know, and choose still to engage in dialogue or debate or discourse, or just say, as much as I hate him, I can't let him go because I need to know what he's going to say next. But that's just, you know, me thinking about like, what is my role and what is my voice in all of this? Am I the voice of reason? You know, will I present both sides? Am I a coward if I don't present my point of view and just stay neutral and down the middle? Well, that's why this show was today, was to like put some of these issues out there. You know, my daughter has been to 3 or 4 marches and protests. I said to her the other day, I said, you know, you've been to 4 protests now. You get the 5th one free if you get stamped in. I'm so proud of her that she's found her voice, that she's found a voice, that she is doing what she can as a 19-year-old to stand up and step up. That's what we all need to do. And that kind of brings us to, I guess, maybe the final part, which is to think about the role of the social networks. Remember I said to you at the beginning that I believed, and just, well, I'll come back to it, just to say hello to Chris Rook and Avram Smukler and Abe Resney, Derek Cotton, Adam Kleinberg, Ed Berry, just a few people. Scott McCain, who's watching. Hello, Scott. Thank you for your inspiration so much. Lisa Shevitz, my mom is watching. At the beginning, I said I'm making a prediction. And my prediction is that I think Trump's reign is done. And I think it's going to catch, you know, there are many people right now led by like Bill Maher that are really afraid of what happens in November, that he will not leave the office willingly. I don't think there's going to be an issue if he gets soundly beaten. And he will be soundly beaten. Because whatever happened over the last 3+ years, I think enough people are saying enough. Enough is enough. When you look at those Wall Street Journal polls, they're all important. Coronavirus, you know, the economy, of course, all of these things are important. But we have to heal. We have to come together. We have to be able to, when somebody has a point of view, the first thing we should be doing is saying, does that point of view have validity? Find the good in it, find the positive, find the merit in what they have to say. And then if you're going to disagree, disagree. But whatever you do, don't immediately bucket them into the left if you're the right, or the right if you're the left, and use that as the basis to have an intelligent dialogue, because there is no intelligence in that at all. That is just blind partisanship. And it is the cancer that is destroying our nation, our unity, our solidarity. We have to get beyond that. And I think we also have to recognize, right now, and let me go back to this, that the social networks are going to play a huge, huge role in what shapes up. When we think of, you know, freedom of speech. I went for a run yesterday, and Scott Galloway was with Kara Swisher on the Pivot. They were discussing Facebook's or Zuckerberg's cozying up or call with Donald Trump and refusal to regulate or moderate or acknowledge Trump's post that incited violence. And Galloway, in his his unique way, he said, this is not about the First Amendment. This is about the second Gulf Stream, right? This is not about the First Amendment. This is about the second Gulf Stream. This is about money. And Kara Swisher said that she called Zuckerberg the world's highest paid customer service representative, and Galloway said he was just the world's cheapest whore when it comes to taking money from from anyone for anything and being able to provide them with a service. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. Snapchat has, I'll make this a little bit larger for you so you can see. Snapchat has said that they are going to stop promoting Trump's profile, and actually the White House, or at least the Trump-Pence campaign, issued a press release saying that Snapchat is trying to rig the election. I mean, how about that? So we're going to see a whole bunch of things happening, and it's going to be absolutely fascinating to see what happens. And I actually think that Twitter is going to play even more of an active role and an explicit role, and will continue to chip away at what was, I mean, let's be honest here. Twitter handed the election to Trump. And what I mean by handed the election, Trump's use of Twitter was brilliant when he disintermediated the mainstream media, but it has gone almost exclusively unmoderated or unregulated. The mistruths, the alternative facts, whatever you want to call, none of it has had any kind of checks and balances against it. And it is why people in this country are still ingesting bleach or sniffing bleach, because when they hear from the president, probably no matter who the president is, they believe it to be the truth, to be the gospel. And so I think Twitter will continue to chip away at what has been, just an anarchic, if that's the word, anarchistic, one of those, rule or free reign by Donald Trump. And when Twitter closes in and Facebook closes in and Snapchat closes in, how else will Trump be able to get the disinformation out there? So when you put all of this together, I think I don't think it's a radical statement for me to come out and say. I wish I could tell you, wow, so brave of him to come out and say that. But I'm predicting that Trump will be soundly defeated, soundly. And it is only by defeating him soundly that we will be able to distance ourselves from these 4 years and begin to heal. And we need to heal. I keep saying that because it is important. There can be no doubt about the results of the election. That probably should be true both ways. So if Trump is going to win and reign for another 4 more years, or 8 if he changes, the rules, but if he does, he should then, by the same definition and token, defeat Biden soundly. He should win the popular vote, he should win the Electoral College, and he should defeat Biden soundly. But I'm arguing the reverse right now. And it is only that distance that will allow us to be able to separate ourselves and figure out how to move forward. I just want to make one more point, though, about this idea of the role that Twitter plays, or if you have any doubt in your mind about freedom of speech and regulation, etc. This was fascinating to me, and I don't know how many of you saw this, but this was a person went and actually created a Twitter account called Suspend the Prez, and all they did was mirror every single one of Trump's tweets, verbatim, absolutely verbatim. When Trump tweeted, then this account tweeted the same thing. And guess what happened? As you can see, the account copied his Trump's tweets verbatim starting Friday and was reportedly suspended by Monday for 12 hours after Twitter determined that the account had violated platform rules against glorifying violence. So the experiment was actually done. And it turned out, when it was actually just a man in the street or a normal person, an average Joe, that was not tolerated. So you have to ask yourself the question, what kind of a double standard is this? And actually what I believe needs to happen as a guy who actually comes from the marketing and social media world is that the more famous or prominent or recognized you are, the more regulation and controls should be instituted and levied against you, because your words have meaning and your words have consequences, and those consequences result in action and execution. So I think if you are someone with 4 followers, you should be less regulated than someone that has millions upon millions upon millions of followers. And I think that exercise actually showed us what's really going on here. So Twitter needs to come to the party even more so than they have, and Facebook and Snapchat and all of these social media channels. Because something, remains in my mind, which is that if Fox News, and quite frankly, let's not blame Fox News. If Fox News, if Twitter, if Facebook had been around during Watergate, Nixon would still be the president. Believe that. Believe that. It's true. I mean, we can't prove it, but it's true. So we have to figure out now how to exist and coexist and let justice prevail with all of this distraction and ambiguity. So I want to leave you today. By the way, got about 6 minutes or so left. Seems like, you don't want to be on the show, but that's okay. You gave me the platform and the time, and I appreciate it very much. There is one more thing that, I want to kind of end off with. And it really comes down to, I started off, I said at some point action must take over from words. And I mentioned Ron's book, Think, Do, Say, which I think is almost a mantra for what we need to do moving forward. Now is the time for reform. Now is the time for us to say, hey, listen, we made it this far. We believed we were doing the right thing, but it turns out it might not have been optimal. It turns out it might not have been perfect. So for those of you that have seen 8 Can't Wait, these are 8 points or 8 recommendations for police reform. Well, let's go through some of them. Ban chokeholds and strangleholds. I don't think that's controversial. Just don't crush a man or woman's windpipe. That's an easy one. Require de-escalation to the degree that that's possible. Sure, that one might be a bit of a tougher one because, in some cases, when there is ambiguity, when you're not sure if there's a gun, when someone might be high, when someone might be armed and dangerous, when it isn't well lit, what do? But let's go through the rest. Require warning before shooting. Sure. No guns in the UK. From what I understand, policemen they have like bobbies with batons. You should be able to say, stop or I'll shoot. I don't think that's a controversial one. Requires exhaust all alternatives before shooting. Of course. Why would you shoot first? Duty to intervene. This is an interesting one. If you are a junior policeman, if you've been on the job for 3 weeks and your partner's been there for 15, 20 years and maybe has a history of violence, I mean, this is a tough one to enforce. But it is your duty to, if you see someone and you're like, hey, Sarge, I think maybe you might want to just release your knee from that man's windpipe. Ban shooting and moving vehicles. I mean, half of Hollywood would change, but but that's another one. Require use of force continuum. I'm not sure exactly what that means. And then finally, require comprehensive reporting. We need more of this. We need more of this. And as you know, I feel very, very strongly. Karen says, excellent group of 8. Maybe there are more. Maybe 2 of them will not make it through. Maybe we'll replace them with 2 others. But the ability for us to reform the existing process or the existing solution right now, that doesn't indicate weakness. It's about evolution. Maybe it's just about, hey, listen, we need to change and adapt. Isn't that part of my whole message for those of you that read me or have seen me present? You know, Darwin, it is not the strongest of species that survives, nor the most intelligent, but rather the one that is the most adaptable to change. So it is a sign of strength to change, to adapt, to evolve, to say we can be better. We owe it to ourselves and our partners and our spouses and our children and the citizens we serve to be better. Simple as that. And gun reform needs to follow closely with police reform. We need to position the word reform as a word that says we are agile and adaptable and open-minded. I won't use the word liberal because that became a bad word. We have to depoliticize everything. We need to always try and find the merit in what anyone has to say before pouncing on them and spewing hate, because that doesn't achieve anything. So that's what I wanted to share today. I didn't, I planned, as you can see, a bunch of slides, but I wanted to just go on record and say, I think Trump's done. And look, it's not even necessarily what I believe or don't believe or support. I don't support him. But I just think if you just take a step back as an account planner and I look at, the landscape, see the wood for the trees, smell the coffee or whatever, I think it's pretty obvious what's happening. My prediction is you're going to see an escalation over the next few weeks, months, days, weeks, months of more and more people standing up. And I just want to be clear about something. There are a lot of people that are going to be covering their own arse now. There are a lot of people that are going to be reversing their positions and doing what they believe is popular and what they believe will help get them reelected. Don't think it's all, above board and people acting with integrity. The rats are the first to flee the sinking ship. And that's what's going to happen. But it's going to happen thick and fast. And the only thing that confounds me to this day is that Donald Trump's approval rating is still in the 40s, low 40s, and not in the 30s or even below. But look, that's all I got to say today. If you are a Trump fan or supporter and you've made it this far, I respect the fact that you did. I know that you don't agree with me, but maybe you took my advice and you tried to look as well at the merit in what I had to say, that it wasn't just the left or the partisan approach. Maybe you tried to kind of say objectively, was he just, delivering his own bias, or is there something there? And if you're against him, I don't think you need to be I don't think it's about for or against. It's about what is the right solution for this country and for the world moving forward. And of course, if you believe in change, if you believe in think, do, and then say, well, then you got to think it through and you got to do, you got to act, you got to execute, let your actions guide your words, and let them be informed by your thoughts, if I said that correctly. I will be back tomorrow, normal time, 2 p.m. And we'll be back on the bandwagon. Sean Thompson, legendary surfer. We'll be talking about the code. So enjoy your day, everyone. And thank you for your time. Take care. Bye-bye.